Is there anything that you've secretly wanted to do that kind of terrifies you, but if you had a guarantee that it would work out, that you would go out and do it? Well, one of those things for me is acting. Acting. I have come to realize over many years that I have such a fear of doing anything involving acting, but deep down inside, it's something that I always wanted to try. I have such an admiration for acting because I can feel that to be a good actor, it's not pretending to be someone else. It's not dressing up to try to be all these different characters. It's actually tapping into all the parts of you that most people are scared of tapping into and bringing that out to come alive in the character that you're playing. Like, it's not pretending, it's actually knowing yourself so well that you can tap into these parts of yourself that most people just wouldn't dare to. And so for me, I think that would be like the ultimate therapy and empowerment both at the same time. And so when I came to this realization a few years ago, I tried out an acting class. It was a very, very beginner class, and I purposely didn't go to the classes that were a little bit more like a level up in terms of the quality or the potential to go somewhere by taking those classes, because I thought, oh my God, I'm going to run into someone in these classes that I don't want to see. I need to do this on my own without people that I already know. So I went to a very like truly beginner class, and I took a few sessions. And when I went to this class, it was made up of warm-up exercises in the beginning, and then more partner type exercises with one other person. And then there was like a scene kind of part to it where it wasn't a scene study class where you're doing a whole scene, but it's like you're tapping into a certain emotion to create a particular scene for just a few minutes. So I was really nervous. I was excited. I had no idea what to expect. And the teacher was really good at handling people like me that maybe have never had experience like this. But the class involved people that obviously had acting experience, as well as people that were pursuing this as their career. They just were there to make their technique even better and go back to technical things that they may have, needed refreshers on. At a certain point when we got partnered up, there was a exercise that is called repetition exercise, I guess it is. It's in a Meisner technique. Any of you guys who have done acting out there would know this. It's method acting and Meisner technique. And I think my understanding is the point of it is to observe and also practice reacting to something and being okay with someone observing your reactions. And I happened to be paired up. I was paired up with a few different people over a series of a few lessons, but one day I was paired up with this guy who obviously had done acting before. He seemed quite confident. He was, he held himself quite well, and he seemed kind of a little arrogant, and he was attractive in his look. Most of the people in this class were younger than me. He was definitely younger than me. And I just kind of went with it because I had to, and hoping that I would learn something from this person who obviously has experience in this. So him and I were sitting up on a stage where the other students were sitting down watching us, and the instructor basically got us to, in this technique, you start saying something observant just on the surface, like, you're wearing a red shirt, and then the other person repeats that, I'm wearing a red shirt. And then maybe they see something else in you and then they observe it. Maybe a lot of it's surface stuff to begin with. Then it can be a little bit more, body language, or like, oh, you look down a lot, or you laugh a lot, or your eyes crinkle up when you smile, or and then it can go a little bit deeper where it's more about your behavior and your emotions. So I think when I look back on it, the instructor must have felt like I'm not emoting enough, like I'm not reacting enough, I'm not showing my emotions enough. And she wanted this partner of mine to say something to me in this repetition exercise to get a reaction out of me. So she specifically told him to think of something that would make me react. There was no script. He could have chosen anything that he wanted. And I had no idea what he was going to say. And none of the students knew what he was going to say. And definitely the instructor had no idea what he was going to say. And what he said to me was, looking at me, facing me, we're facing each other. He looked me right in the eye and said, "You are so fucking ugly. You make me sick." I think that's the third time I've practiced just saying this, so it feels a little, no, I can't, I was going to say it feels a little bit better, but it never feels good to say that. And I was receiving it from someone that I don't know, who wasn't given a script to say this. Like, at least if that was the reason, it would make more sense and I could let it slide. But I guess the point was to get a reaction out of me, and he definitely did. I should not have cared what this person thought. I mean, I didn't know him. So what if he looked attractive and confident? Like, at that point, I was like, why would someone say this to me? But the thing is that I have been so scared of my reactions, and that's the reason I wanted to go into acting, that I couldn't react. I just kind of froze, and I was shocked that he said this. I think most of the room was shocked that he said this. I think the instructor was shocked that he said this, but thankfully she didn't just shut him down and say, like, that's not acceptable and you shouldn't have said that. She fed me a line to try to help me get through it. I understood her point of the line, but I didn't necessarily like where she was going with it, so I changed it a little bit. But it took me like days or months or years later to realize that there were other things I wish I had said in reaction to continue the exercise and still be within the rules of the exercise. But freezing and not saying anything and taking it personally but not reacting was not what I wish I had done. The reason, so in that moment, I wondered, has this guy been holding this in all along? Because it didn't feel like it made me think that he really felt that. Because why would you just say that? Like, why would you choose that of all other things? And the thing is that whether he meant it or not, I'm sure that there were people around me that thought, how could you say this to her? I'm sure there were people there that thought the opposite, that I was pretty or that I was beautiful, or how could you say that to anyone anyway? And what made me think of this memory was that there's a woman, Pearl, that I've been telling you guys about. I've been watching her YouTube videos just for the past month or so. And the way she speaks is amazing. In just a few minutes, she says such profound things. I just want to go back and re-listen to everything that she says, because there's always something new in the same words. And she says it so poetically. And in a recent video of hers that I watched, she was saying that you can walk into a room and be the ugliest person there and the prettiest person there, or the most beautiful, depending on who it is that you ask. Because everybody has their own preference, has their own standards of beauty. We've been conditioned to see a certain person with certain eyes or certain hair color or certain walk or talk or whatever as beautiful, depending on where we grew up, which part of the world we grew up in, what we've been shown is beauty. And we cannot take our value according to one person or a few people or even the whole room's vision of what is beautiful or ugly, because that person is seeing us from their own lens. But there are other lenses that will think completely differently. And of course, the most important lens is our own. Like, how do we see ourselves? And she realized that when she had this revelation, that she's not going to put her worth on her beauty or what other people think of her beauty, or even what she thinks of it, but that for her, it's her mere existence. Like, nobody can deny her existence, that she's here the way she is, and she's living her life and saying the words and, showing up the way that she wants to. And no matter what she looks like or what people think is, whether it's beautiful or not, nobody can take that away from her. But in that moment at that acting class, I felt like somehow I let someone's words take away my value. I know my higher self was thinking, oh my God, this poor boy, what has happened to him that he thought that that was okay to say that? I know if I had done that moment all over again, I would have said to him in reaction, someone said that to you before. Or you've been waiting a long time to say that to me. Or something like that in the exercise. I wouldn't have reacted the way that I did. And the crazy thing is that after him and I went up together, there was a really beautiful girl around his age who had red hair. She obviously had done a lot of acting before. She was very confident and kind of cheeky and sly and sort of everything that I didn't feel like I was. And when him and her went up, when he had to say something to make her react, it had nothing to do with her ugliness. Quite on the contrary, actually. And at a certain point, her reaction to what he was saying was, you like me. And he didn't know what to say. And then at another point, she said, your lip was quivering. So she was picking up on observations about him and his kind of insecurities or his vulnerability towards her. But he was telling me my weaknesses, like, without really knowing me. I mean, maybe that was his actual opinion. Maybe he just always wanted to say that to someone. Maybe someone has said it to him and he was like feeling really empowered to say it to someone else. Maybe he just was completely clueless of how, when someone said, "Oh, get a reaction out of her," like just to say the meanest thing that he could say instead of saying something a little bit more flirty or kind or compassionate. Like maybe I'm not giving him enough credit and he could see that didn't know how to take, I didn't know how to express anger or let it out, and maybe he was, trying to get me to do that. I don't think that was the case. I think it was more coming from his own insecurities and complete, lack of compassion. But when I think about like the videos that I've been doing about hair and gray hair and short hair and long hair and thick hair and, some people don't have hair, like, and all these external things about us, like, there are going to be tons of people out there that think that my short hair is absolutely ugly. There are going to be people out there who think that my gray or silver hair is definitely something that they would never find attractive. And there are going to be people out there who think it's really cute and sassy and that they feel inspired by it or they love it. But the thing is that remembering that idea that I could walk into a room and be the ugliest and the prettiest person at the same time. Thank you, Pearl, for this amazing insight and revelation. Just frees me from all of the like BS of like what this person thinks or what that person thinks. Or I mean, I would have shown up as such a different person in that acting class had I understood this. I think that there was a higher, more confident part of me that did understand it, but I had not tapped into her yet because there were lots of insecurities that I was going into that class with, like not knowing how to act, not knowing how to get in touch with my emotions. From high school on, being younger, like having guys that looked that way, like he was kind of like that jock look, not finding, like I felt like they didn't find me attractive or did make fun of me or, have criticism about my look or whatever. Like it all resurfaced. And it was amazing to see that is another reason that acting, I admire it so much, because all that stuff is going to get resurfaced when you're in this like real acting mode, like when you learn how to really be an actor. And there's a part of me that wished that I had stayed in those classes to see where it went. And it doesn't mean that I could never do it again. But I just want to say that we can be so many different things to so many different people. And trying to please everyone is never going to work. And I've said it before, the biggest thing is how we ourselves show up. And if someone is not okay with that, it gives you a lot of information of whether you should be around them or just to be okay with that. That's their preference. And you're not the one for me, but there are going to be other people that think that I'm like the best thing ever. And I just want to put it out there to remind you and myself of this. Maybe one day I will try acting again, or I'll try an acting class, but either way, in my real life, where I'm not acting and I'm just being myself, I'm going to remind myself to just tap into who I really am and be okay with it, because other people will sense that. And yeah, put me in another Meisner technique class. I want to see how I show up this time after all these years. Maybe it would be very different. Let me know if any of you have tried acting, or you're in the acting career business, what you think of those exercises, how you see acting. Like, if you have any advice for someone that wants to try it, let me know. Talk to you soon.